Great to see you. Oneness Evolving here. For those of you who've known me as Maddie Schaefer, I officially changed my name earlier this year. So I really am Oneness Evolving now. And I'll probably say that again for all the people that don't see the beginning of this video because they jump on Facebook and miss it. And that's why, even though I'm going to talk about how we end up spending the first 7 years of our life recording absolutely everything, like just the button's on and there's no off switch, I'm going to talk about that later because this is a Facebook Live and it always takes a little time to get live and get shared. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to do the thing that I do when I'm inside, because I'm not outside in the garden today because somebody's water blasting out there and it's noisy. So I'm in here, and that means we get to explore and enjoy rocks. I have a whole shelf full of rocks, and I used to do this every day, but I don't need to do it every day now, so I get to do it once a week. This is calcite, obviously yellow, and if you look carefully, you can see there's rainbows in there. It means there's a little bit of water inside the stone because it's the water that breaks the light. See, there's a colour. It's the water that breaks the light up and makes those beautiful rainbows inside a stone. Oh, and look at that. It's just lovely. So, yeah, this is my favourite little, well, one of my many favourites, yellow quartz. And you can see the structure of the stone. See, it's got lines like that and lines like that, and that's just the angle that you find in a lot of calcite. I mean, calcite's a really varied mineral, and it comes in all kinds of shapes and things. But this is just really common, bog, standard, ordinary calcite that's been made into a sphere, and it's lovely. And look, one side of it's quite misty, and then there's this side which is clear, and I just like it. So that's why I decided to share it with you today. So there, quartz, calcite, yellow calcite. This actually is quartz. It's Jasper, rainbow Jasper, and it's got lots of different colours in it, which is why it's called rainbow Jasper. Well, it's lovely. G'day, gorgeous being. I can see somebody jumping on. That might be my beloved husband, who then is going to share this out of the group. I don't know, but it's really nice to see you, whoever you are. And I mean, I don't really have to say much more except that this is rainbow Jasper, because it's obvious that it's rainbow coloured. And look at the different, try and catch the light on it, there's beautiful little details in it. I'm just got to try and get it in focus so you can really see. I mean, it's like a painting. Who needs anything else except to really look at this? And I guess I really enjoy taking the time to look at the grey and the red and the grain of the stone, and down here, of course, there's this green part. So it's fabulous. And yeah, I'm going to start talking about the brain and how we get our memories. But while I'm waiting for people to jump on and be present and have a moment to see it, I'm doing crystals because I enjoy sharing them. So that's rainbow Jasper. Last but not least, because I like to do three, this is more calcite. It's brown this time. And of course, this is sacred geometry. This is really part of, or one form that the basic fundamental structure of the universe takes. You know, this tetrahedral shape, it turns up everywhere. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking at the fundamental tiny particles that make up atoms, or you're looking at superclusters in the galaxies, superclusters of galaxies, you find this shape everywhere. So I just enjoy this. It's brown calcite, and you can see the square, and you can see the star and the triangles, and I just enjoy that. So I wanted you to see it. And of course, with a Merkaba, you can spin it as well. But I tell you what, it's heavy enough that it hurts. So there we go. Those are our rocks today. So now I'm going to get started on what I wanted to tell you about, which is the update on the God of Me project. The God of Me project, which is me once a week. I have carved out a morning when I am able to write, because I'm writing content for a website, and this website is really to get some information that has been life-changing to me and make it available to people who can't afford to pay for it. Now, there are going to be some people who pay for it, but there are people who won't ever be able to afford to pay for it, not only because they don't have a credit card, but because they don't have a bank account, because they don't have identity papers, because all of that costs money and they don't have it. And so I want to make this information available to those people. And that means, first of all, writing words that will go on a website. And it also means that my husband, who's an artist, is drawing pictures. And I'm also sourcing pictures from the interweb. And I've got to make sure, I've got this little list of songs, things I want to tell you. Promise, writing on it. Even just getting pictures for things, you got to be careful. So I'm making sure there's a thing called Creative Commons, which people put up pictures and things. Hi Lisa, lovely to see you. People put up things under a Creative Commons license, which allows you to use it for free. But even with those, you've got to make sure, is this really a free license? You can do whatever the heck you like with it. Or is it something that requires attribution or whatever? So I've been sourcing images on the web and they're Creative Commons, and I'm just really grateful that they're there. And of course, I'll be happy to attribute the people that created them. So, all right, I think, we're pretty much getting going now. So this is God of Me, once a week update on what I've been able to write for the website. And at the moment, because God of Me is about how do I be God of me? How do I be boss of me? How do I change myself? If I am a certain way and I want to be another way, if I feel like this and I want to feel like that instead, but it isn't just so simple as saying, I don't want to feel this way anymore, I want to feel this way instead. How do I go about changing it? And believe me, I am right up nose against not a brick wall, but a very strong situation in my own self right now, where I am just having to play the change game all day long. Because the same thought that I've been thinking unconsciously for decades, most of my life, just screams up about every, 5 minutes or 1 minute. It's like, no, I don't want to think that. I want to think this. So, and I've practiced what thoughts I want to think, because I know that whatever thought I think, I'm going to have a feeling that goes with that, because that's what happens in the brain. You think a thought, you make some chemicals, and those chemicals give you a feeling. And I don't like the feeling that goes with that thought that I've been thinking for 50 years. So I have to change it. And it's really hard because my body doesn't want to change it, because my body is used to feeling that way. It's done for 50 years. And now I want my body to feel something different. Why is that so hard? It's because 95% of who we are, we don't even know. We just have the 5% of us that's conscious, that's making the choice, that says, I want to feel differently, is not aware of the 95% of us that is memorized in our body and in our habit brain and our unconscious brain and our unconscious mind. And that's what I've been writing about now. The last little while, starting to talk about where does this 95% come from? And the first place that the 95% can come from is our genes, because memories actually do get encoded into our genes, and some of the most important things that our parents learned and experienced actually it makes an impact on their DNA, and when they make us, we get some of it. And we don't know which, but we can inherit memories from our parents. And that's all I'm going to say about that. If you want to understand about that, go back a few weeks in YouTube and you will find the stuff about intergenerational trauma, because that's been a thing that I've really had to deal with. Because my old name, Jasper, Viennese. My father and his parents escaped Vienna just before the beginning of the Second World War. Enough said. So, we have genes, and then when we're inside our mother, we share the same bloodstream as our mother. So whatever chemistry is going on in her bloodstream is going on in our bloodstream. And if she is constantly thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking certain thoughts, she's programming her cells. This is what happens. If you send the same chemistry at your cells for long enough, your cells are going to change. That's just, it's called epigenetics. You keep signaling the cell in a certain way. More than is healthy. Let's just say that. If you're scared for 2 years, your cells are going to change because you were scared for 2 years. Because the chemistry of fear affects the functioning and the structure of your body if you just stay in it for 2 years. That's scientific fact. It's an epigenetic change that happens. So if a mother, while she's pregnant, is constantly thinking fearful thoughts or constantly thinking happy thoughts, it doesn't matter. Whatever the most common thinking and feeling that she's doing, she's sharing that with the baby. So if she's programming her cells, she's programming the baby cells as well. Because the baby and her are just the same thing. They're connected by the umbilical cord. So whatever chemistry the mother has, the baby has. And so the mother's chemistry, if it's strong enough and long enough, can actually change how the baby's genes are expressed. And this isn't about blaming your mother for everything, by the way. Shit happens to people. And when shit happens, even when it doesn't, we react, we respond. We are always in our world, in our environment, having responses and feelings and thinking stuff and just living. And that's what happens. So this isn't about blame. So, okay. You get that, you get your genetic inheritance, and you get some chemical memories from your mother. And also there's information that comes in from outside the womb, but the baby, the little fetus, doesn't even start to have any senses at all for 8 or 10 weeks. So for that first 8 or 10 weeks, this is mum. That's all you got. And as the senses develop, well, there's some information starts to come in from the outside world. But to my understanding, the biggest influence at that time is mum. And how she's feeling. So, of course, how dad and mum are is really important, because if dad and mum are in a good space, then mum's in a good space. If they're fighting, or if there's financial worries or there's sickness or whatever, well, then the baby shares that too. So, memories from before we're born. Now, and the situation with the baby in the womb getting the chemical, it's not like the baby's going to be born and say, oh, I remember this, and this happened. These aren't memories like you and me saying, well, I went to the shops last week and I bought a top. They're chemical memories. They're programmed in the cells. It's about how the little DNA library in the cell gets to express itself. That's what I mean. That changes if the chemistry is different from normal for long enough. So after that, she says, looking at the clock, and better get on with the point. After that, you get born. And then what happens? Suddenly you're a little independent unit, and you got a body. You got a huge frickin' brain, by the way, and a little body. But that huge, I mean, it's a little brain, but it's still really big compared to the body. I mean, evolutionarily, it's a bad idea, because it's hard to get through the birth canal. All of that's dangerous. But if you survive that process, thinking about humans evolving and, if you survive that process, you have this amazing piece of hardware, which, by the way, keeps on developing for 25 years. Your brain doesn't stop developing until you're around 25. So it's going to keep going, right? That process is going to keep going. Not like you're born and it's just all there. What actually is there when you're born is a basic personality, because we know, I know I'm not a parent. Through choice, I decided not to have babies. But I have spoken or listened to parents who say, each child is different. They come out and they just are a certain way. And I think that's the sum total of the genetic memories and what's gone on in utero. And they just come out like that. So you have this little body and this undeveloped brain, which is huge by comparison to the rest of the baby. I mean, don't they just have huge heads? And they can eat and they can sleep and they can poop and they can cry, and that's about it. So how do we get from there to here? What happens? And why don't we have any memories from when we're really small? Some people do, but most people have no memories from that period of time, because when a baby is born, its brain is running really, really slowly. And so I've been putting this piece together. And so I'm starting to be able to get to the point where I can explain about brainwaves. So of course I can explain about brainwaves now. Why is it that everything goes in completely unedited for 7 years after we're born? So, and in my writing I'm explaining, well, how do you know? I mean, you can measure a brain's activity through electroencephalography. What the hell does that long word mean? It means electrical, encephalo, brain. That's the Latin word for the brain, is encephalus, and then graphy, which is I looked it up. It's a Greek word that's about writing, graphs, writing, graphography, whatever. So it's literally electrical brain writing. So it's a measurement. It's something that you can see that shows you, well, this is what the brain is doing. And so then I went finding pictures of what that looks like. And you have a person with a cap on their head and it's got all these dots, and they're little electrodes and they've got wires on them, and they link to a machine, and the machine processes all the information. It measures the electromagnetic field that the brain is making just when it's functioning. Sleeping, waking, doesn't matter. It makes electricity, it makes a field. The electroencephalogram measures that, spits it out onto a screen, and then you can see what the brain is doing. And the brain can do, the brain can do anything from really, really slow, which is when we're asleep, to really, really high when we're either in absolute terror or in peak performance. Peak performance actually goes higher than absolute terror, but there's a crossover. Or absolute stress, let me say that. So I've been talking about the mechanics this week. I've been writing about the mechanics of how this happens. But I decided to skip ahead to the 7 years thing. What's the deal with that? So when we're born, our brain is in delta. And delta is 0.4 to 4 cycles a second. So if a second is 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, then the brain is going ding, 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 or slower. Ding, 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 ding. The wave on the electroencephalogram every second is going 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's delta. It's real slow. And that's sleep. So even when a baby has its eyes open, it's sleeping. That's why they don't stay awake for very long, because their brain is asleep even when their eyes are open. So when you're asleep, you don't have an analytical mind, do you? You don't have a brain that can say, hey, what? I don't know if I agree with that. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, I like that. You're just asleep. So a baby's brain is wide open to information. Whatever it experiences, it just pours right in. There's no filter. There's nothing to say, I'll accept that, but I won't accept that. At about age 2, give or take, the child's brain, because now they by 2 they can walk, and they're interacting with their environment, and by that I mean everything outside of their skin. They walk around, they pick things up, they wave their body. Oh, I feel things in my body. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I feel better now, I'm tired. Whatever. They're having experiences. And because they're having experiences, the brain it has to process the information. So it starts to speed up. And around age 2 to age 5, give or take, and everybody's different, the child's brain, instead of being in delta, which is sleep, goes into theta. And theta is 4 to 8 cycles per second. It's going faster now. So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,004, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, then ding, 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 ding. Yeah, and you can see this in the strip chart produced by the EEG. So that's theta. And you might know that theta is the state that hypnotists get people into when they want to change some unconscious program the person can't remember, but which is limiting them, stopping them from doing what they want to do. Theta is the hypnotic state. So from age 2 to age 7, give or take, everyone's different, you're hypnotized. Your brain is in that hypnotic state. And everything goes in. And by everything, I mean that we watch everyone around us. We go, oh, is that how you're supposed to behave? Is that what relationships look like? Is this what I do when something happens that I don't like? Is this how I celebrate when I'm happy? Is this what I do when I'm feeling sick? The child, the inside in the brain, we have these things called mirror neurons. And they are, I've heard Dr. Joe Dispenza, from whom I've learned so much and keep on learning, say that they're empathy neurons. Mirror neurons, and the example he uses, which is a really good one, that lions, like when the mother lion is out in the wild and the cubs are getting older and she needs to teach them how to hunt, they sit and they watch her. And she hunts and they watch. They're not just watching. while they're watching her, the mirror neurons in their brains are actually experiencing what they're seeing. And it's the same reason that when when you're when you're feeding a child, I mean, who doesn't? Even me, if I'm feeding somebody's baby, you have the spoon, you point it at their mouth, and, because you want them to open their mouth, and it's their mirror neurons that actually make them imitate us. So they learn by watching. It's not what we say, it's what we do and who we are, and it just comes in. And so if you think about how it was when you were small and how your parents were, and this isn't about blame, because they were once small and they had parents and they just had it all come into them. Okay, it's not just about us, it's about them and about their parents and about their parents. It just gets downloaded or uploaded, depends which way you want, what word you want to use, into the little baby's nervous system. Because that's I mean, there's so much to learn. You can't memorize all the stuff about how society functions. It just goes in. And so whatever our environment is, it just gets programmed. This is how you be. This is just what it is to be alive in this world, in my family, in my community. It just goes in. Because it's the most efficient way to learn. There's so much about, you can't go to school and learn all that stuff. It just has to come in that way. So there's an evolutionary advantage to us being in the theta for those 5 years. But that's how it works. We get the good and the bad and the ugly and the brilliant. It just comes in. So a good chunk of our 95%, like another big foundation piece, and not all of it, because it doesn't stop, but a good chunk of who we are gets laid in that way unconsciously. It's just like an operating system on a computer. This is just what you do if you are alive and being in this situation, in this world. Now let me see what I've missed. Yeah, I've covered most of what I did today. And I look at what I've been writing and think, oh God, really, it's not very much. But the point is to make it clear and simple, and to decide, am I going to explain about this, or is that going down a rabbit hole and it's too much detail? It's a constant thing for me. And I went looking for pictures of the what it looks like when someone is having an electroencephalogram done, and I thought, do people really need to know? And then I thought, well, but it's one thing to say, oh, it's this and it's an electric brain writing, which is really what the thing is. But to make it real with a picture that says, oh, okay, so you have a person with this weird looking thing, all these little dots on their head with wires on them, and you can see the wires going to a machine, and there's another person operating a computer over there, which the machine is linked to. That's going to make it more real. So I decided, okay, I will put that in, particularly since I found a really, really nice picture in Wikimedia that I could use with the Creative Commons license. So all of those choices. And so next time I get to write, I'm going to be explaining much more about the brainwaves, because I've talked to you about delta and I've talked to you about theta, but there's 3 more. There's alpha, and then there's beta, and then there's gamma. And they all do different things. And to understand how we're going to change, if we want to change who we are, to understand that the 95% of who we are, if it's unconscious or subconscious, and those two are not actually the same, although I'm not terribly clear about the difference between them. I know they are different. If we want to change things that aren't in our conscious awareness, we have to get into theta, because that's where the program was laid down in the first place. Right? I mean, that's logical. Now it makes sense. But if I said to you 20 minutes ago, oh, well, there's all this unconscious stuff, and it's, you sucked it in when you were a kid, and you've got to get into theta to change it. Well, what the hell is that? But now you understand that is a certain way that our brains can function, and there are ways to get into theta, and going to a hypnotist is one of them, but I'd rather be able to do it for myself, because that makes me God of me. And so we've got to understand some of this basic stuff about ourselves and how we work, because then that empowers us to make changes, to things that we don't like, to take that program out and upgrade it or replace it with a different one entirely. And that's what I really appreciate being able to do for myself. It's not easy, by the way. Some of the programs that I'm working to change in myself are really, really hard. But I have the tools, and I know that it's possible because lots of other people have done it. So I can't be that special that it's not possible for me. And so this is my contribution, is to just keep on doing this process. I'm not looking past the fact that I'm writing this content at the moment. We're writing words, getting pictures. Lawrence is doing pictures, and they're really cool. If you want to go to the God of Me page, we post about one a week. It's not easy. He has to really think about how to make this stuff really clear. And then, of course, there's God of Me on Patreon, which is where if you want to find out more about what I'm doing, and if you'd like to support me, support us, you can do that. It's a low monthly charge, like $5, and for that you get to talk to me and ask me questions, and you get the special Patreon only posts which come up from time to time when I'm really inspired to share something that I know is going to be of great value to you. That's going to grow over time. I've got something cooking in my awareness at the moment, and I'm looking forward to doing it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this journey. Ask me any questions if you wish. Please do like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see the next one. I put out one a week, and I look forward to the next one and telling you more about how our brains work inside, because that is a big part of being able to be God of Me, is knowing how I work so I can make me work better. Until then, lots of love. Bye-bye.